The shuttle doors hissed open, revealing the silent, glowing surface of the space station. Its metal walls gleamed under the light of a nearby star, reflecting in sharp angles. Humanity had never seen anything like it before. The station floated above an uncharted planet, orbiting silently as if waiting for someone to arrive. Dr. Mara Lin, chief scientist of the Human Exploration Team, stepped forward cautiously. Her boots clicked against the smooth floor as she looked around. The station was massive, far larger than any human-made structure in the solar system. Its design was alien, yet precise. Curved walls intersected at strange angles, and lights glowed softly along the corridors, pulsing rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. Behind Mara, her team followed. There was Captain Jonas Reeve, pragmatic and cautious, Lieutenant Arya Sun, skilled in technology and security, and Dr. Elias Thorpe, a biologist fascinated by alien life. Each of them carried a sense of awe mixed with caution. Humanity had always dreamed of meeting intelligent aliens. Now they were here, but no one knew what to expect. From around a corner, a figure emerged. She was unlike anything the team had ever seen. Her skin shimmered with a soft silver hue, and her eyes were large, reflective, and filled with calm intelligence. She wore a smooth, form-fitting uniform that seemed to glow faintly in rhythm with the station's lights. Mara instinctively felt her pulse quicken, not out of fear, but curiosity. "I am Kira," the alien said in perfect English, though her voice carried a melodic tone unlike any human. "Welcome, humans." The team exchanged glances. They had expected communication to be difficult. Somehow, this alien spoke their language fluently. Mara stepped forward. "Thank you," she said. "We are honored to visit your station. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and understanding." Kira nodded slightly. Her gaze was calm, almost unreadable. "Knowledge is shared carefully. You may explore, but some areas are restricted for safety." Mara's curiosity surged. "Safety? For whom?" she asked. But before Kira could respond, the soft chime of the station's AI echoed through the hallways, guiding them toward a central chamber. Inside, the room was circular and brightly lit, with sleek consoles lining the walls. At the center, a platform glimmered faintly. Strange symbols floated in the air above it, rotating slowly. Mara stepped closer, drawn by the alien technology. She felt an electric thrill. This was far beyond human science. Kira gestured to a console. "This is the medical and adaptation chamber. We will ensure your bodies can survive here without harm." Mara frowned slightly. "Adaptation? To survive what?" Kira's eyes softened. "This station exists in a different energy spectrum. Humans are not fully equipped to handle its effects naturally. We provide assistance." The team hesitated. Medical assistance was normal for exploration, but the way Kira said it made Mara uneasy. Still, curiosity overpowered caution. After a brief discussion, she agreed to a basic medical scan, wanting to understand the limits of her own body in this strange environment. Kira led her to a sleek platform. Lights shifted and moved, scanning Mara from head to toe. Sensors beeped, softly, and strange patterns glowed along her skin. Mara felt a tingling warmth spread through her body, like tiny sparks running under her skin. "It is only a preparation," Kira said. "A small injection to enhance adaptation. It will help your body adjust more quickly to this station and the planet below." Mara's heart beat faster. She hesitated. "An injection? I need to understand what it is first. We have strict safety protocols." Kira tilted her head slightly. "It is safe. It is not harmful. Humans usually do not require it, but your species has potential. You may benefit greatly." Mara considered. Potential? That word carried weight. She looked at her team, who were watching silently. Captain Reeve nodded slightly, trusting her judgment. Mara made her decision. "Very well. Administer it." The needle entered her arm, smooth and cold. A strange warmth spread almost instantly. Her vision seemed sharper. She could hear the faint hum of the station's machinery as though it were music. Colors appeared more vivid, sharper, more detailed than she had ever seen. Mara blinked and focused. She could see patterns in the air itself, lines of energy twisting and flowing. A sudden wave of dizziness struck her. She steadied herself on the platform. "I feel strange," she whispered. Her voice sounded foreign even to her own ears. Kira's expression remained calm. "Do not be alarmed. This is part of the process." But Mara felt more than adaptation. She felt other memories flicker through her mind. Images of places she had never been, shapes and structures she could not recognize, emotions she had never felt. They surged and passed, leaving her breathless. What is happening?" she asked, her voice trembling. Kira's eyes softened, a hint of something unspoken in her gaze. "That wasn't meant for humans," she said quietly. Mara stared at her, confused. The words echoed in her mind. Why would she be given something not meant for humans? And yet the power she felt, the clarity of senses, the speed of thought, was undeniable. She could feel her mind opening, expanding beyond human limits. Her team stepped closer, concerned. Captain Reeve placed a hand on her shoulder. "Mara, are you okay?" She took a deep breath, steadying herself. I don't know," she admitted. "Something is changing inside me." Kira nodded. "Change is inevitable. The station reveals what you are capable of. Humans are unusual, very unusual." Mara tried to focus on her own thoughts, but her mind kept straying to the alien visions. The strange energy flowing through her. The feeling that she could understand the station, and perhaps even the universe in ways she never had before. Despite fear, a spark of excitement ignited within her. If humans could reach this level, if they could survive and adapt to something so alien, what possibilities lay ahead? Mara realized that this moment marked the beginning of something far greater than she had imagined, not just a visit to an alien station, but a test of human potential. She looked at Kira, whose calm, silver eyes seemed to see right through her. "I don't know what this will do to me," Mara said, "but I want to find out." Kira's faint smile was the only answer Mara received. And with that, the doors of the station's chamber closed behind them, the soft hum of alien technology surrounding them, signaling the start of a journey that would challenge everything Mara thought she knew about being human. The moment Mara stepped away from the platform, she noticed the world had changed. Every detail seemed sharper, brighter, alive. She could see the faintest glimmer of light bouncing off distant walls. She could hear the soft vibration of the station's systems as if it were a heartbeat beneath the floor. It was more than clarity. It was awareness. "Are you okay?" Captain Jonas Reeve asked, his brow furrowed. He had followed her closely, concern etched on his face. I think so," Mara replied, though her voice wavered. "It's just... everything feels different. I can see the flow of energy in the walls. I can hear the station breathing." "Lieutenant," Arya's son tilted her head. "Flow of energy? What do you mean?" Mara held out her hand, staring at the patterns of light she could see twisting through the air like threads. "It's like I can feel the station thinking." Dr. Elias Thorpe's eyes widened. "This is impossible. Humans don't perceive alien energy. You should be—" "I know what I feel," Mara interrupted. She took a cautious step forward, and the floor beneath her seemed to hum in response. The sensation was strange but not unpleasant. Her mind buzzed with understanding she could not fully explain. Kira observed silently, her silver eyes reflecting both concern and curiosity. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "Your mind is changing faster than I expected." Mara frowned. "Changing? How?" "You were given something not meant for humans," Kira replied. "It unlocks abilities your species could never reach naturally. You must learn to control it, or it may overwhelm you." The words sank in. Mara felt a mix of awe and fear. Her body was the same, but her senses, her mind, her perception of the world, everything had shifted. She could hear the faint conversation of her team members from across the room, each word clear as if they were standing next to her. She could see the tiniest micro-movements in Kira's body, the subtle shift of her muscles, the almost invisible patterns of her breathing. Mara decided to test herself. She reached for a control panel, running her fingers along the alien interface. The symbols glowed beneath her touch, responding instantly. She could understand them, not as translations, but as direct knowledge. Commands and instructions formed in her mind without learning. "Unbelievable," Arya whispered, stepping closer. "How are you doing that?" Mara shook her head. "I don't know, I just understand." As the hours passed, Mara's abilities became more noticeable. She could anticipate small events before they happened. A floating tool dropping from a shelf, a console light flickering in advance. She could sense danger instinctively, moving before a minor hazard could even occur. Her team watched in astonishment, some excitement, some fear. But it was not only physical or perceptual. Mara began experiencing alien memories, flashes of places and events she had never lived, cities that seemed made of light, beings communicating in a language of sound and color, and feelings of connection to the universe itself. They came in bursts, leaving her both exhilarated and disoriented. During a briefing in the central chamber, Mara saw the projections on the holographic table shift subtly, as if alive. She could read the intentions behind the projections, seeing the structure of the station in ways her team could not. "The station! It's alive!" she whispered. Captain Reeve looked skeptical. "Mara, you've been through a medical procedure. Could it be—" "No," Mara interrupted firmly. "It's more than that. I feel like I can connect to it. I can read the flow of energy, see how it works. This station is responding to me." Kira stepped forward. "Humans rarely evolve beyond their natural limits. You are exceptional. But exceptional comes with risk. The memories, the abilities, they are not fully stable in your species." Mara's pulse quickened. "You mean I could lose myself?" Kira's expression softened. "Perhaps, or perhaps you will reach a new level of human potential. Only time will tell." Over the next day, Mara continued to explore her abilities. She could move faster than ever, react to objects and hazards instinctively. She began sensing the hidden layout of the station, even walls she could not see. She discovered a room with complex machinery and symbols, understanding its purpose in seconds, something that would have taken her weeks to learn normally. Yet with each advancement, Mara felt a growing tension within herself. The alien memories and the strange abilities created a sense of disconnection. Sometimes she would catch a glimpse of herself in reflective surfaces and see an image that was not quite her own. A subtle shimmer in her eyes, a fleeting sense of being part human, part something else. Captain Reeve finally approached her privately. "Mara, you're changing fast. Are you still yourself?" Mara took a deep breath. "I don't know. I feel stronger, faster, smarter, but it's not just power. It's understanding things I can't explain. And yes, sometimes I feel different. But I'm still me. I think. I hope." Arya joined them, looking concerned. "We've never seen anything like this. Humans aren't supposed to evolve like this. What if it's dangerous? Mara shook her head. We're here to explore, to learn. This is part of that. I need to see where it leads, but I won't let it endanger the team. Kira's voice echoed softly in the hallway. You must learn quickly. The abilities you now possess may attract attention. Not all who come here are friendly. Mara's heart skipped a beat. Danger. Already the strange gifts she had received were more than just a marvel. They were a warning. She realized that her new senses could detect more than energy patterns. She could sense the approach of life forms outside the station, even distant ones, though she could not yet identify them fully. By the end of the day, Mara's team had begun to trust her instincts. Her abilities, while alarming, had saved them from minor accidents: a loose panel, a failing oxygen conduit, a near collision with a falling cargo drone. Slowly, they began to see the potential benefits of what had happened to her. Yet Mara could not shake Kira's words. That wasn't meant for humans. The meaning of them haunted her. Why had she been chosen? Why had the alien nurse given her something so powerful, so transformative, so dangerous? And what would happen if the station itself, or its creators, noticed what had been done? Mara looked out over the station's observation deck, watching the alien planet below, its oceans and continents shimmering in strange, iridescent colors. She could feel her pulse synchronizing with the rhythm of the station, the energy beneath her skin, and the strange, alien memory flowing in her mind. For the first time, she realized that humanity was no longer limited by its own biology. Perhaps humans could adapt, evolve, and rise to challenges no one had ever imagined. And in that moment, Mara understood that her journey was no longer just about exploration. It was about discovering what humans could truly become. Mara could no longer ignore the pull she felt toward the deeper parts of the station. Her enhanced senses guided her through hidden corridors and silent chambers that the human team had not yet discovered. The walls seemed to hum with energy, as if the station itself recognized her presence and responded. "Where are you going?" Captain Reeve asked, frowning as he followed her cautiously. "I don't know exactly," Mara admitted, "but something is calling me. I can feel it." Lieutenant Arya Sun and Dr. Thorpe exchanged worried glances, but followed as well. Kira walked ahead silently, her calm gaze betraying no emotion, yet Mara felt that the alien nurse knew much more. Then she led on. Eventually, they reached a chamber sealed by a translucent wall. Behind it were human-sized pods, glowing faintly with blue light. Some were empty, while others contained figures that looked like humans, but modified, adapted, in subtle ways that made their shapes almost unrecognizable. Mara gasped. What is this?" Kira's voice was soft, almost regretful. "This is where we study the limits of your species. These pods contain humans who were prepared for environments you are not naturally equipped to survive. We call it adaptation, but it is more than that." Dr. Thorpe stepped closer, his face pale. "You mean experiments?" Kira shook her head slowly. "Not experiments in the sense you might imagine. Observation, enhancement. We wanted to know if humans could survive under conditions we thought impossible. Only a few were successful." Mara's pulse quickened. She glanced at the nearest pod. A human inside seemed asleep. But when she looked closer, she noticed subtle changes: skin shimmering faintly, veins glowing, eyes reflecting light unnaturally. She realized with a shiver that these humans were enhanced, altered. "I think the injection," Mara said, touching her arm, "did the same thing to me. That's why I feel different. Why I can sense the station and understand things instantly." Kira's eyes softened. "Yes, you were given a gift or a risk. Humans rarely handle it well, but you have potential. It is a rare trait." Mara's team looked at her in awe and concern. Potential? You mean this could make her stronger than any human? Captain Reeve asked cautiously. Stronger, faster, more aware, Kira confirmed. But there is a cost. Too much change, too quickly, can overwhelm the mind. Humans are fragile in ways we do not fully understand. Mara stepped closer to one of the pods, her mind racing. She felt a connection to the human inside, even though they had never met. The images and memories she had been experiencing, flashes of alien cities, strange structures, feelings of belonging, suddenly made sense. They were the echoes of these enhanced humans, transmitted through some unknown resonance of the station. I can feel them, she whispered. It's like they're calling to me. I can sense their thoughts. Kira nodded. The station allows certain connections. Your abilities amplify them. You can understand what others cannot. You may even communicate without words. Mara's heart pounded with both fear and excitement. She realized that her new abilities were not just physical or mental enhancements. They were a bridge between species, between humans and Valorians. She could understand things her team could not even imagine. But as she explored the pods further, she noticed a disturbing pattern. Each human inside had been modified differently. Some seemed built for strength, others for speed, others for mental acuity. It was clear that the Valorians had been testing multiple paths of human evolution, seeing which traits could survive extreme conditions. Why humans? Mara asked, her voice trembling. Why not your own species? Kira's gaze was steady but somber. Because humans are unpredictable. You adapt, you innovate, you survive in ways we cannot fully control. That makes you fascinating. Dangerous, yes, but also remarkable. Mara looked around at her team, realizing the truth in Kira's words. Humans had survived countless wars, disasters, and hardships. They could not match alien technology alone, but their creativity, resilience, and courage were unmatched. And now, with these enhancements, they could potentially reach even further. Do you regret giving me the injection? Mara asked, glancing at Kira. The alien nurse's eyes flickered with a hint of emotion. I hoped it would never be needed. Your species is not ready for this. Yet here you are. You may be the first human to endure it fully. Mara swallowed hard, feeling both pride and fear. She was changing, evolving in ways no human had before, but she also knew she carried responsibility for herself, for her team, and perhaps for all of humanity. As she explored further, she discovered a hidden console displaying data about the humans in the pods. The information was overwhelming, but Mara's enhanced mind processed it effortlessly. She realized the Valorians had been experimenting for decades, selecting traits, observing growth, and discarding failures. Some humans had not survived the adaptations. I can't let this happen to anyone else, Mara said, her jaw set. No one should be used like this without choice. Kira's eyes softened again. That is why you must be careful. Your abilities are extraordinary, but they draw attention. Others may come seeking what you now possess. The team gathered around Mara, unsure of what to say. The chamber was silent except for the soft hum of the pods and the faint pulsing of the station's energy. Mara felt the weight of knowledge pressing down on her, yet she also felt an unshakable determination. We need to understand this, Mara said firmly. We need to study it, learn from it, and protect it. But no human should be forced into this. We have to find a way to use this responsibly. Captain Reeve nodded slowly. Agreed. But how do we control something like this? Mara, you've changed already. We don't know what you're capable of. Mara looked at her hands, feeling the strange energy flowing beneath her skin. She was aware of every nerve, every movement, every tiny spark of life around her. I don't know, she admitted, but I'll figure it out. I have to. Kira stepped back, her presence calm but commanding. Then prepare yourself. The knowledge you now carry is not only a gift, it is a test. You may discover that the greatest challenges are yet to come. Mara nodded, feeling the truth in Kira's words. She had entered the station seeking knowledge, but she had discovered something far greater. She was no longer just a human explorer. She was becoming something beyond, a bridge between her species and the alien world surrounding them. And with that, Mara understood the gravity of her situation. The station held secrets, some dangerous, some miraculous, and she would have to navigate them all to survive and to ensure that humanity could rise, unbroken, into the stars. The silence of the alien station did not last. Mara felt it first, an uneasy vibration beneath her skin, a ripple of energy pressing against her senses. It was faint at first, like the whisper of a distant storm, but it grew stronger with each passing moment. She stood in the observation chamber staring at the stars. Then she saw them, shadows sliding out of the blackness of space, ships sleek and luminous, their curved hulls glowing with the same faint silver light as Kira's skin. They moved with purpose, surrounding the station like predators closing in on prey. "They're here," Mara whispered, her breath unsteady. Captain Reeve joined her at the window, his jaw tightening. "Valorians?" "Yes," Mara said. Her enhanced senses confirmed it. She could feel the energy signatures of the ships, their weapons humming, their systems alive with tension. Arya cursed under her breath. "We don't have the firepower to stand against that fleet." Dr. Thorpe looked at Kira. "Why are they here? Do they know about the injection? About Mara?" Kira's silver eyes darkened. "They know. They monitor this station. The moment Mara changed, they felt it. They have come to retrieve her and to silence the rest of you." The room fell silent. Mara's chest tightened. "So I'm the reason they're here?" "No," Kira corrected. "You are the result of their design. But you are also their greatest fear. A human who can endure what was not meant for humans, that is dangerous to them." Mara turned away from the window, her mind racing. Her senses were alive with information. She could feel the ship's positions, the timing of their approach, even the faint rhythm of their engines. Yet fear pressed against her thoughts. They were outnumbered, outmatched. But then another feeling sparked deep within her. Defiance. Humans had always been underestimated. This would be no different. "We can't fight them with brute force," Mara said. "But we can outthink them. We can use what they don't expect." Captain Reeve raised an eyebrow. "And what's that?" Mara met his gaze, her eyes sharper than ever. "Human ingenuity." The team gathered in the control chamber. Mara stood at the center, her hands resting lightly on the alien console. Symbols lit up under her touch, glowing as if alive. She closed her eyes, letting her enhanced mind sync with the station's systems. For a moment, she felt herself inside the station. Every corridor, every circuit, every defense mechanism. The station was designed to resist even Valorian control, she said, her voice calm but urgent. "I can access its defense systems. I just need time." Arya tapped her wrist console nervously. "Time we might not have. Their ships are charging weapons." "Then we'll have to delay them," Reeve said firmly. "Thorpe, help Arya with shielding. I'll coordinate with Mara." Mara worked quickly, her fingers flying across the alien interface. To her team, it looked like chaos, symbols flickering, shifting, but to her, it was as clear as written instructions. She redirected energy flows, activated dormant systems, and linked the station's sensors to her own heightened perception. She gasped as her awareness expanded. She could feel the ships moving outside, each one like a heartbeat in the dark. She anticipated their maneuvers before they made them, predicting their formations, their attack patterns. "They're trying to breach on the north docking bay," Mara announced suddenly. Prepare for impact in 30 seconds. Reeve looked at her in disbelief. How do you know that? I just do, Mara replied. And moments later, the station shook as the enemy ships attempted to force their way in, exactly as she had predicted. The first assault began. Blinding flashes of light struck the station's shields, sending vibrations through the metal walls. The human crew braced themselves. Shields at 60%, Arya called out. Mara closed her eyes, reaching deeper into the station's systems. She felt its defenses awaken, ancient cannons hidden in the outer hull, energy pulses waiting to be released. With a thought, she directed them, turning the station into a fortress. Beams of light shot outward, striking the Valorian ships. One vessel staggered under the impact, spinning off course. The others pulled back, regrouping. Captain Reeves' eyes widened. Mara, you just made this station fight back. Mara opened her eyes, glowing faintly with reflected energy. No, we made it fight back. I can't do this alone. But even as she said the words, she felt the strain. The more she pushed herself, the deeper she sank into the alien systems, the more she felt her humanity slipping at the edges. Her thoughts blurred with symbols and energy flows, her heartbeat syncing with the station's rhythms. Kira watched her silently, then spoke in a low voice. Be careful, Mara. The more you use this power, the more you risk becoming something else. Mara clenched her jaw. Then I'll risk it, because if we fail here, none of us survive. The second wave of attacks came harder. The Valorians unleashed swarms of drones, small, agile craft darting through the defenses. Mara guided the station's systems with impossible speed, intercepting many before they breached the hull. But some made it through, crawling along the corridors like silver insects. The human team armed themselves. Reeve fired his rifle at a drone bursting into the chamber, sparks flying as it collapsed to the floor. Arya hacked into their systems, disrupting signals to slow them. Thorpe grabbed a heavy tool and swung desperately, smashing one apart before it could cut into the walls. Mara stood at the console, directing the battle both outside and inside. Her mind burned with effort. She could see weaknesses in the enemy. Fleet! Tiny fluctuations in their shields, gaps in their formations. She relayed instructions to her team with sharp clarity. Target the fourth ship's underside. It's exposed, she shouted. Reeve relayed the command, and the station's cannons fired. The ship exploded in a burst of light, sending debris spinning into space. For the first time, the humans had struck a decisive blow. The Valorians hesitated. Mara felt their uncertainty ripple across the battlefield. They had not expected resistance, least of all from humans, but she also sensed their determination hardening. They would not stop. They wanted her. Sweat dripped down her forehead as she gripped the console tighter. Her heart raced, her mind burning with alien power. She was balancing on a knife's edge between control and chaos. But one truth blazed. In her mind, humans did not surrender. We hold them here, Mara said firmly, no matter what it takes. Captain Reeves stood by her side, rifle ready. Then let's show them what humanity can do. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, Mara felt hope. She had become something more than human, yes, but she was still fighting for her people, and as long as she held on, humanity would not fall. The battle outside the station had slowed, but the threat was far from over. The Valorian fleet circled like wolves around prey, adjusting their formations, studying the humans' defenses. Mara could feel their presence pressing against her. Mind, like cold hands reaching for her. They wanted her. No, they needed her. Inside the command chamber, the human crew gathered, exhausted but determined. Arya checked the station's shield levels, her fingers flying across the console. Shields are down to 30%. One more heavy assault and they'll break through. Dr. Thorpe leaned against the wall, catching his breath. And if they get inside, We're finished. They'll take Mara, and probably kill the rest. Of us. Captain Reeve glanced at Mara. We need a plan. A real one. We can't keep reacting. We have to outsmart them. Mara closed her eyes, trying to steady her racing thoughts. She could feel the alien systems whispering to her, offering power, strategies, endless calculations. But buried within the flood of alien knowledge was a single clear thought. Humanity had always survived not by being the strongest, but by being clever. We can't win this with raw strength, Mara said firmly. But we can win with creativity. That's what makes us human. The Valorians don't think like us. They expect predictable moves. We'll give them something they can't predict. Kira tilted her head, watching silently. Her silver eyes reflected a flicker of interest. You believe your human ingenuity can outwit a fleet of Valorians? Yes, Mara said without hesitation. Because it's what we've always done. The humans worked quickly. Mara outlined her plan, and the crew sprang into action. First, Arya rewired the station's energy conduits to create false signals, tricking the Valorians into thinking parts of the station were vulnerable when they were not. Thorpe prepared chemical compounds from their limited supplies, creating makeshift explosives and traps in the corridors where drones might enter. Reeve coordinated the defenses, organizing the crew like soldiers on a battlefield. Meanwhile, Mara linked deeper into the station's systems, not to overpower the enemy, but to mislead them. She sent out pulses of energy in irregular patterns, confusing the enemy sensors. The Valorians searched for weaknesses, but every time they closed in, they found decoys. Within minutes, the aliens grew frustrated. Mara could sense their confusion. A species that relied on control and precision suddenly facing chaos. They don't understand what we're doing, Mara whispered with a small smile. They expect order. We'll give them disorder. The Valorians launched their next assault. This time, instead of meeting them head-on, Mara executed the first part of her plan. She directed the station's shields to collapse briefly in one sector, luring the enemy ships closer. Believing they had found an opening, the Valorians rushed in. Now! Mara shouted. Arya triggered the rerouted energy conduits. A surge of power rippled outward, overloading the enemy sensors and scrambling their formations. Several ships collided with each other, thrown off by the sudden interference. Captain Reeve grinned. Nice work. That's one move they didn't see coming. But Mara wasn't finished. As drones began to breach the station again, Thorpe's traps detonated. Harmless chemicals mixed to create blinding flashes of light and sound. The drones, programmed for precision, faltered in the chaos, giving the humans precious seconds to strike. Reeve and Arya blasted the disoriented machines, while Mara directed the station's cannons to fire at exact weak points in the enemy fleet. She didn't target their strongest ships. Instead, she picked off support vessels, communication relays, and supply drones. Piece by piece, she dismantled the Valorians' ability to coordinate. The aliens tried to adapt, but every adjustment was met with another unexpected human tactic. They're confused, Kira said softly, almost in awe. They've never faced an enemy like this. Good, Mara said, her eyes sharp with determination. Let them be confused. Hours passed in bursts of tension and combat. The Valorians attacked again and again. But each time, Mara and her team countered with creativity. They turned weaknesses into strengths, traps into victories. Even the station itself seemed to respond better to Mara's guidance, as if it recognized the value of human unpredictability. Still, the cost was heavy. The humans were exhausted, their supplies running low. The station's shields flickered dangerously. Mara felt her body strain under the constant pressure of channeling alien systems. Her mind burned with every calculation, every command. You can't keep this up, Kira warned her quietly. You're pushing yourself too far. The line between human and other is fading. Mara's voice was steady, though her body trembled. If that's the cost of saving my team, of protecting humanity, then I'll pay it. Kira studied her for a moment, then gave the faintest nod. Perhaps this is why humans are feared. Not your strength, not your weapons, but your will. Finally, the moment came. Mara sensed it, a shift in the enemy fleet. Their confidence was broken, their formations faltered, their commanders were uncertain. "This is it," Mara said, her eyes blazing. "We end it now!" She directed the station's energy core into one final strike, but not against the fleet directly. Instead, she targeted the gravitational field of the nearby planet. The sudden surge destabilized the enemy ship's engines, pulling them off balance. The Valorians scrambled to recover, but their fleet was thrown into chaos. Two ships collided and burst into flames. Another was dragged toward the planet's atmosphere, its hull glowing as it burned. The rest pulled back, retreating into the darkness of space. Silence returned. The battle was over. The crew stared at the fading light of the retreating ships. Relief washed over them, though exhaustion weighed heavily on their bodies. "We did it," Arya said breathlessly, sinking into her chair. "We actually did it," Dr. Thorpe laughed weakly. "We just outsmarted an alien fleet. Humans, of all people, outsmarted them." Reeve placed a hand on Mara's shoulder, his voice firm but proud. "You led us through this. Without you, we wouldn't have survived." Mara's gaze lingered on the stars where the enemy had vanished. She could still feel the energy within her, the alien power mingling with her human spirit. Her body was weak, but her resolve was unshaken. "This wasn't just me," she said quietly. "It was all of us. Humanity survived because we fought the way we always have, with creativity, courage, and unity. That's what makes us strong." Kira watched her closely, a faint expression of wonder on her face. "Perhaps humans are more than we ever imagined." Mara smiled faintly, though her eyes held determination. The battle was won, but she knew this was not the end. The Valorians would return. And when they did, humanity had to be ready. For the first time, Mara felt that humanity had proven itself, not by being perfect, but by being unpredictable, resourceful, and unstoppable. And in that truth, she found hope. Word count: 950. The silence after the battle was heavy. The station floated quietly above the planet, scarred and trembling from the fight. Smoke drifted through the corridors, and sparks still jumped from broken panels. But for the first time in hours, there was peace. Mara stood in the command chamber, her body weak but her spirit strong. She looked at her crew. Arya leaned against her console, exhausted but smiling. Thorpe sat on the floor with his back to the wall, breathing heavily, his hands still covered in chemical stains from the traps he had made. Captain Reeve stood tall, his uniform torn but his eyes shining with pride. And then there was Kira, the alien nurse who had once seemed so distant and strange. She now looked at Mara not with suspicion, but with quiet respect. "You survived," Kira said softly. "Against odds no other species would have dared." Mara's voice was calm, steady despite the weight pressing on her. "We didn't just survive. We proved that humans can stand against anything, even the Valorians. But peace never lasted long. Everyone knew the enemy had only retreated, not been destroyed. They would come back, stronger and more determined." Captain Reeve broke the silence first. "We can't wait here for their return. We need to repair, regroup, and prepare. Humanity has to know what happened here." Arya nodded. "Earth won't believe us unless we show them. They need to see that we fought aliens and won." Dr. Thorpe frowned, rubbing his tired eyes. And they need to know about Mara, about what the injection did to her, about what she's becoming. All eyes turned to Mara. She felt the alien energy humming inside her veins, alive and restless. It wasn't just power, it was connection. She could sense the systems around her, feel the hum of the station's engines, even the faint signatures of ships moving far away. She was no longer fully human, but she wasn't alien either. She was something new. Mara met their gazes, her voice quiet but firm. What happened to me was an accident. But maybe it wasn't a mistake. Maybe this is what we need to face what's coming. The days that followed were filled with hard work. The crew repaired what they could, sealing broken walls and patching. Damaged systems. Food supplies were limited, but they shared what they had. Even in their exhaustion, they refused to give up. Mara spent much of her time learning to control the strange energy inside her. Sometimes it scared her, when her thoughts moved faster than her body, or when her hands glowed faintly with light she couldn't explain. But other times, she saw its gift. She could guide the station's repairs faster, sense dangers before they appeared, and even calm the fear in her crew with a single reassuring look. Kira often stayed near her, watching closely. "You are changing," the alien nurse said one evening as they walked through the quiet corridors. "Your body is adapting in ways I have never seen. You are not breaking. You are evolving." Mara gave a small smile. Maybe that's what humans do best. We change. We adapt. We turn accidents into strength. Kira tilted her head, thoughtful. Perhaps that is why you survived when others would not. You are unpredictable. Mara laughed softly. That's one word for it. Soon, a signal was sent toward Earth. It carried everything they had learned, the attack, the aliens, the battle, and the victory. It carried proof that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. When the message was sent, the crew gathered in the command chamber once more. There was no celebration, only quiet determination. They all knew what the signal meant. Humanity would soon awaken to a greater universe, one filled with danger, but also possibility. Captain Reeve looked at each of them, his voice steady. We've shown the Valorians that humanity is not weak, and now, the rest of our species. We'll know. We'll be ready for what comes next. Dr. Thorpe gave a weary chuckle. Ready? Earth isn't ready for half of what we've seen. Arya smirked. Then they'd better start learning. Fast. That night, Mara stood by the viewing window, staring at the stars. They no longer seemed silent or distant. Now she knew they were alive with civilizations, some friendly, some hostile. She felt both fear and wonder. Kira approached quietly, standing beside her. You are thinking about the future. Yes, Mara said softly. Everything has changed, not just for me, for all of us. Humanity has stepped into a bigger universe. And there's no going back. Kira studied her carefully. The Valorians will return. They will not forget this defeat. When they come, they will bring everything they have. Mara's gaze remained fixed on the stars. Her eyes glowed faintly, a sign of the strange power inside her. Then we'll be ready. Humans may not have the strongest ships or the most advanced weapons, but we have something they'll never understand. And what is that? Kira asked quietly. Mara turned to her, her voice steady and filled with unshakable resolve. We have the will to fight. We have the courage to adapt. And we never stop, no matter what stands in our way. For a moment, the two stood in silence, the stars shining above them. Then, slowly, Kira nodded. Perhaps humanity is exactly what the universe needs. Days later, Earth finally responded to their signal. The message was short but powerful. We hear you. We believe you. We are ready. Mara felt a warmth in her chest. For the first time, humanity was united not by borders, but by survival, by hope, by the knowledge that they were not alone. Captain Reeve read the message aloud to the crew, his voice steady but filled with emotion. Earth is with us. Humanity is with us. Arya smiled. Thorpe laughed with relief. Even Kira allowed herself a small nod of approval. And Mara stood tall, her glowing eyes reflecting the starlight. She was no longer just a scientist, no longer just human. She was a bridge between worlds, proof that humanity could rise above fear and become something greater. As the station drifted quietly above the planet, damaged but unbroken, Mara whispered words that only the stars could. Here, this is only the beginning.